We become what we repeatedly practice every single day in our thoughts, in our mind, in our body, in our emotions, and even in our spiritual expansion. And this is such a precious and important topic to me because it has literally changed how I move through my life. Once I was aware of what I was thinking and how I was thinking and the things that were looping around in my brain over and over and over again, how I was treating my body, how I was criticizing myself, how I was criticizing others, how I was criticizing situations, how I was taking care of myself on a regular basis, not just when I felt like I should go and do something better for myself. And then it just kind of pitters out, and then I'm back to old habits. Once you move into this understanding of self care in a way of not I have to do this or I should do this, because the should syndrome is not a way to change anything. But when you move into a state where you realize this is what I really, really desire, and I want to practice this. I want to repeat this every single day. Then your energy begins to shift. And that's what I'd love to share with you today. Welcome to the Art of Tuning In podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Furlano. It's great to have you here today. This is a very important topic to me because for me, as a teacher of energetic alignment, specializing in medical Qigong and Chinese medicine, when I work with private clients, I'm working with people who are used to generally taking care of others. I work with a lot of psychotherapists, therapists, massage therapists, counselors, teachers, executives, people who hold space for others in a way or projects in a way. And there's a lot of responsibility there. And you can get very honed in to a specific routine, schedule, way of thinking, way of pressure on yourself. And it can be very depleting in energy. So when I work with people, the first thing we want to work on is how to realign their energy so that they move into states of being that they really want to be in and get out of things that aren't supporting them. And that takes a focus of practicing not only through the physical movements in medical qigong and meditation and breathing, which really help us to move into a state of energetic neutral. They help us relax our nervous system so that we can move into this beautiful state of calm and of peace so that we can listen to ourselves on a different level. That is the entire reason why we want to practice. We want to practice being able to shift our state of being. I call it frequency shifting. We are shifting from one frequency of anxiety, pressure, criticism, any kind of the emotional range that we may have into a state of energetic neutral, because that's always important to do first. You don't go from being pressured, critical, feeling anxiety, feeling really tense. You don't go from that into, oh, I'm feeling super joyful and I'm super confident and I'm super inspired. You just can't do that. It's like going from 0 to 100, and your system is regulating itself. It's moving through a set of feelings and of frequencies. And so, what we want to do when we are working with energetic practices is to be able to learn how to get ourselves into a state of neutrality, meaning that we bring ourselves into such a state of peace and calm that we're able to listen deeply. So, when I say listen deeply, if you have not experienced that in yourself, most people who are part of my community who are listening to this podcast are very much into the energetic arts. They're very much into things that bring them beauty and joy and into their intuition. And they understand on a level that you have to get quiet in order to hear that. And when you go into a state of energetic neutrality, you are calming the mind, moving into a heart centered space, softening your energy, allowing energy to flow, and moving from a stressed out nervous system space to a calm and relaxed and safe space. And when you do that, that's when you listen completely differently in your life. And so when I work with people who want to shift their frequency, a lot of the people that I work with are really interested in tuning into their intuition more and more and more to guide them into their life. But they're also interested in being able to tune their frequency to change patterns in their life that are not supporting them. And what I find, and in my life, I have certainly found this before, and what I find with people that I work with is that they'll try, they have every earnest intention to change something, but we try to do it through willpower. And willpower does not last very long. What has shown to be extremely beneficial, more beneficial than just powering through with willpower is community, is having support. And generally, having a coach to support you is wonderful. But then, even expanding that into a community of people to support you is really what takes somebody from one spot to a place where they've actually now integrated the new changes into their life. So, if you're trying to do something completely by yourself, just know that it's a very difficult way to do it. And there may be a lot of ups and downs. And allowing in the right kind of support can really make a huge difference to get you over those hurdles. Because when we start to shift frequencies, when we start to change patterns, we sometimes don't understand why we're going back to certain patterns. You've heard me talk about before in this podcast, and certainly in my studio, if you're a student there, hello. We talk about energetic sabotage. And energetic sabotage is when we start to shift our frequency into lighter, brighter ways, when we start to clear out emotional patterns. And all of a sudden, we're feeling better, we're feeling lighter, we're moving through life differently. And then we realize that this is a really new state to be in. And we start to feel a little uncomfortable. And it's very common. This is not anything that anybody's doing wrong. This is just your system, your mind, your body, your emotions, all of your thought patterns, how you grew up, and people around you begin to respond to you differently, and you're responding to situations differently. And all of a sudden, these old thoughts can start to surface, or these old emotions can start to surface, and you start to feel a little bit uneasy about how great you are feeling or how easy life is starting to flow. And you're shining a little bit brighter, and you can begin to do things. This is the energetic sabotage part. You can begin to do things that dim or dampen that energy. And what you're doing subconsciously is bringing yourself back to the older frequency that you were comfortable with. And so this is where this topic of we become what we practice every day is the most important thing, and where community and support comes in, because sometimes we can't see that we're doing this. We can't see that we are bringing ourselves back into a place where we're just used to, where we were comfortable before, because there were some new and scary things that we need to look at. We think we just failed. We say, see, I was doing so well. I was on this path. I was starting this new routine for myself. I was feeling really good. And see, I just lost it. And you didn't just lose it. It's just that new things are coming to the surface, which is why community and support and people who understand what you're going through and people who can give you a perspective of how to keep going forward and how to expand it to feel safe enough to share. This is why that's key, and why just pushing through on your own does not work over time. It's exhausting. So if you're in this place where you're trying new things and you're finding that you get to a certain point and then you start to wobble or you start to backstep, just know that you're not doing anything wrong. This is actually a really good thing. This means that you're moving your energy, moving your thoughts, moving your experiences to a new place to such a degree that your system, your mind, your body, your emotions, your system is saying, wait a minute, this is really new. What are we doing? I'm not sure. And then we need to practice the tools that bring us into energetic neutral, allow our nervous system to calm, allow ourselves to have an anchor within ourselves. So when we are just moving, 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 trying to put out fires, trying to take care of things, do all the things that we do in life, we are in a lot of ways outside of ourselves. Right? We're in front of ourselves. We're almost like chasing ourselves energetically if we're really out of sorts in a way of where we are needing to get things done and we're never back and centered in ourselves. There's a practice that I do with my students called moving into your backspace. It's really where we practice anchoring ourselves into our body, into ourself, which can sound very easy. It sounds like, well, yeah, where else would I go? Of course, I would go into myself. But when people are in chronic thought pattern, they're constantly looping their thoughts, or they're in an emotional state of feeling uneasy or fear or overwhelmed or anxious, they're generally not fully anchored in themselves. It's kind of like part of their energies hanging outside of themselves, still connected to them, but they're kind of in their body, kind of out of their body. They're thinking ahead. They're not really present. So, moving into your backspace, anchoring into yourself is a whole different form of being present. And when we're present in ourselves, our energy moves to a more aligned place where we can get quiet and we can hear guidance, intuitive wisdom on an emotional level, thought level, spiritual level. We use our skill sets of intuition in a beautiful way. And everybody's different with this. Some people just know something. They just know I have to go do this or this is wrong. Some people feel in their body. And this is where it's really valuable for people to start to understand how they tune in, right? The art of tuning in, how they tune in to their intuition, how they tune in to their emotions, how are they tuning in to different people, situations, events, and what does that information mean for you specifically? I was teaching a class last month inside my studio, and we were talking about intuition. And I was explaining to them that intuition is a very challenging topic to teach. I love teaching it, and it's wonderful, and it's definitely valuable, but it's challenging because intuition has its own language for every single person. So you may feel something that is very unique to you that somebody else, if they felt that, means something totally different to them. You may see a symbol, a rose that means something very specific to you, and it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, or it means something totally different. So it's a language, and your body, your emotions, how you feel, it's all a language. So when we are practicing how we want to feel, how we want to resonate, when we're frequency shifting, when we're practicing how we want to move through our life on a daily basis, how we want to take care of ourselves, how we want to be cared for, how we want to expand in our life, it is a regular practice. Your frequency must match what it is that you want to create. And your brain and body get very used to the decisions that you make. Let's say that you say, I'm going to go on a journey now where I'm really going to put my self care, the priority of taking time for myself first. And I'm going to do this on a daily basis because I know that it's important to me. And I know that when I do this, not only am I helping my health and my mindset and my life, but I'm also able, especially to support others. I have a client who mentioned something that was so important. She's been working with me and we've been doing tools, and she has really noticed that her sessions have increased in their power and support for her clients because she is holding a completely different set of energy for herself because of how she has been practicing. So what she has been practicing regularly has become a new state of frequency for her, has become a new state of being for her. So she's able to hold space very differently for the clients that she sees and her family and everything that she does. And so things have become more deep in her practice. Things have become more expansive in her sessions with others. And I say this to inspire you, to have you understand that it's not just about, I just need to take better care of myself. It's when you spend time to align your energy, to nourish yourself, to move through shifting your frequency into really tuning in with yourself. When you spend time on a regular basis, when you practice this, it shifts absolutely every other element in your life. So it shifts your professional work, it shifts your relationships. Of course, it shifts your health and your energy and what it is you want to create, but it goes beyond that. And I feel like sometimes people are really just sick of hearing about self care because it feels to people like this is something else that I need to do. And what I am wanting to express that is, first of all, I used to feel that way too. It always felt like I had to do something else. And when I had the emotional shift of, no, I am most important. My energy is most important. And so I'm going to do things that support my energy because it's most important. Then it wasn't a burden anymore. It wasn't an extra thing I had to do. It became like brushing my teeth every day, taking a shower, eating when I was hungry. It became a habit that was just wonderful to do. That's the shift that we want to make when we are beginning to practice new tools and integrating them into our life. We want those desires, those practices to become just something daily. We want to be able to shift our mind. We want to be able to catch ourselves in our mindset patterns and be able to say, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that I am constantly ruminating about this. That's interesting, this loop that's going on in my head. This isn't very beneficial for me. This isn't very beneficial for my well being. How can I shift into some neutrality first through breathing, through alignment, through an awareness, and then redirect my energy into what it is that really is beneficial for me, what it is I really do want to create? So I mentioned earlier about manifesting, and this is the same rule that applies with manifesting. Whatever you want to manifest comes directly from the energy that you are carrying. So if you're having a hard time manifesting something in your life, it's because your energy is not in alignment with that. This is also part of frequency shifting. This is the art of tuning in, right? You are tuning in to a new way of aligning your energy, energetic alignment, to move into connection with what it is that you want. So, for example, if you want to be a more joyful person, but you've never really experienced a lot of joy, that's a totally different frequency than you are used to and probably used to being around. Because generally, if someone has a hard time experiencing joy, they're not always around a community of others who are very joyful. And so this can be a key issue with anything in your life, that what you want is right there and you see it, but you're not in energetic alignment with it because you're not used to the frequency of it. The most important thing is that when you want to move into a new frequency, and this can be some of the hardest things for people to understand. But once you get this and you repeat it every single time, it becomes easier and things line up so quickly. When you want something, you desire something, and you want to change something, you want to go to a state of neutral, meaning bringing yourself into a very safe and calm place. So if you practice with me, you know all the tools that we have, but let's say that you haven't done that yet. And if not, come over, join us inside the studio. But let's say you haven't done that yet. You sit in front of a tree. You sit in front of a fountain. Maybe you get a fountain for yourself and you listen and you breathe and you just allow yourself to be calm. Don't force yourself to be calm, to move very gently into a state of calm. to feel the earth beneath you, to feel your body, to feel yourself. Maybe you place your hands on your heart, maybe you place your other hand on your belly. You feel your center, you feel the warmth of your hands sinking into your chest, sinking into your belly. This is a way, and many ways, to become present with yourself. When you start to become present with yourself, your energy begins to shift. The frequency of how it was vibrating. So if you picture you were maybe very anxious, or maybe you were sad, or maybe you were scared, all of those have different tones and different frequencies. If you were listening to music, they would sound different. Some would be faster, higher pitched, some would be slower, some would be really low pitched, right? And all of those have different frequencies. So when you feel emotions, they have different frequencies. When you look at emotions, to move into a new emotion is to move into a new frequency. To treat yourself in a way that supports yourself is a new frequency. To treat yourself where you feel guilty because you're not supporting yourself, or you're pushing yourself to do something because you think you should, that should or that guilt has a frequency, and that frequency resonates in your body. So what we want is to release those whenever we can, and to move truly into a resonance that is neutral and peaceful. And as you move into this state of more neutral energy, meaning that you're not feeling too much of this and you're not feeling too much of that, it's just even, it's balanced, it's fluid, it's soft, it's calm. Peaceful is a word that most people use. I feel anchored. I feel in myself. I feel rooted. I feel that backspace. I feel myself stepping into myself. Those are all ways that people describe it. And I encourage students and clients to always describe what they're feeling out loud. So if you're with yourself, let yourself describe to yourself how you feel, because what it does is it tells the brain and the body that we are actively doing this together, and you don't just blow it off. You say, I feel very peaceful. I feel very anchored. I feel very aligned. This is interesting. I feel calm. I'm breathing differently. Okay, let me just be quiet now. Let me just sit in this. Let me listen to the sounds. Let me listen to the birds. Let me listen to the flowing water. Let me listen to the rustling of the wind, of the breeze. And now you're present. You're present to yourself, and you're present to what is around you in your immediate surroundings. From there, you are in a whole different state of being. You are in a neutral, aligned, and present place. From this space is where we create new things, not from the anxiety place, not from the fearful place. Those bring up the desires to change. But we need to move into the place of neutrality, of listening, of being still, of being present with ourselves, to really tune into what it is we really want and why. And when we practice this daily, right, what we practice becomes our new vibration. So when I work with people in intuition, the biggest thing is to get people to be able to move into a state of neutrality, to practice it every single day, so that when they want to tune into their intuition, they're able to simply move into this state at will. It becomes a regular understanding. It becomes a muscle memory for people who work with others in healing capacities, or intuitive readings, or in any kind of business situation where you are reading the energy of a room. You're reading a client. You're understanding the energy of something. You want to be able to move into that energetic neutrality pretty quickly. And when you do that, everything that you're observing expands. You look at things from a 360-degree view that you cannot see when you are so just in this emotion of stress or overwhelm, or just this focus like you have blinders on. So if every day you just practice, even if it's just for a minute, stepping into yourself, feeling yourself, listening to your surroundings while being in yourself, this will become a state of being that you become used to. You will become attuned to be able to move into this state at will when you want to. The more you practice it, the more you'll be able to do it in high intensity situations, and you'll be able to see things very, very differently. You'll also be able to listen to what it is you need. So, when we talk about that self care issue of really being able to take care of yourself and create the transformation that you want in your life and create the changes that you want in your life, maybe you want to change routines, habits, you want to create new things. You want to listen to yourself first, really listen. Where is this information coming from that you want to change? Make sure you're not on the should train. I should do this. I'm supposed to do this, where you're very critical of yourself or others are being critical of you. Tune into yourself because what we practice on a regular basis, we become. And our energy radiates that from within out. I'd love to hear from you if this is a difficult thing for you to do. Are you able to move into a state of being very aligned in yourself, this energetic neutrality? Are you able to move yourself easily into a peaceful state? And if you do, what do you do to do that? What helps you move to a state of being that brings you more peace and more joy? Please leave them in the comments. Your comments help everyone else, and I'd love to hear from you. Come on over. Join the studio. Let's practice together. There's community there for you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.